Welcome everybody to another episode of the podcast. My name is Daniel. I am happy that you are hearing me again, maybe seeing me again if you're watching this on YouTube. I appreciate you, and wherever you're listening to this, whether it's iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, I'm very happy that you're with me. Folks, one thing that I know that we talk a lot about different subjects, about psychology and life and motivation, but if there's one thing I can just urge you to do, no matter where you are in life, no matter what you're doing, take a step back and look at how far you've come. I was just thinking about this. I was talking to a friend the other day, and they said, how are the podcasts? And as I said it out loud, I said, it's going good, man. I've got over 80 plus episodes. I couldn't believe the words that came out of my mouth. 80 plus episodes, man. That's a lot. You know, I think that especially when now you're learning and growing in every part of your life, but I think especially if you're a student, you know, you're in this position where you're so green and you are so inexperienced, but you're very motivated, courageous, eager, and excited to get out there and to use your skill set, that it is such an exciting time. You know, and for my friends who are in school or for my friends who are working, you know, man, the time flies. You know, it felt like just yesterday you went in and you gave them that resume and now you've been working for a year, you know, or maybe school-wise. So it's definitely an exciting time, and I think if you're looking forward, if you're putting your best foot forward and you're striving to be better every day and you're grateful, life can be really, really, really good. There can be a lot of amazing things that happen. So there's a lot of benefit in that. So the question comes down to this. What is this episode going to be about? Having 80 plus episodes over on Apple iTunes and Spotify, having 100 plus videos on YouTube, and God, I think I have close to 1,000 videos on TikTok. What more do you talk about? Right? If I talk about anxiety, you'll say, well, Daniel, you talked about anxiety last week. Right? One of the beauties of it is, you know, if you take any subject, depression, anxiety, relationships, suicide, the context is very important. So I might speak about anxiety in relation to an adolescent, a person between the ages of 13 and 19 going to school, trying to figure out themselves and figure out life. I might speak about anxiety in terms of someone in their 40s who's having a midlife crisis, who's trying to figure out what they want to do and where they want to go. So you can take that same topic, if you will, and address it in a bunch of different scenarios where the solutions will be similar and sometimes there is overlap, but a lot of times there won't be any overlap, and that's completely normal. So what we're going to be talking about today is this. In life, we know, this is a confirmed fact, that any study that you look at will show, and anyone who is doing this will tell you, if you are volunteering in life, either now or you have in the past or you will in the future, people who volunteer on average report a higher life satisfaction than people who don't volunteer. Think about that for a second. People who volunteer report higher life satisfaction than people who don't volunteer. I saw a post of an extraordinary boxer. His name is Tyson Fury, and he was walking along the beach and he was talking to an interviewer, and he said, man, if you knew the amount of millionaires that I know who are depressed, who are on medication, who need professional help every week, you would lose your mind. He goes, on average, the millionaires and billionaires that I know are in a worse state mentally than the other people, right? Now the message was this, is like, listen, man, you can be as rich as you want, but sadness, depression, anxiety, these things, they're internally, right? You can't buy your way out of depression. You can't buy your way out of anxiety, no matter how much propaganda you look at the pharmaceutical companies. You know, and yes, you can buy SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, and things that are made for people who experience depressive symptoms and whatnot. But again, right, you're not tackling the problem per se. You're just putting a Band-Aid on the wound, going, okay, this is what's wrong with you. All right, man, here, we're going to throw this at you. We're going to do therapy once a week for 6 months, and hopefully you'll feel better. But this idea that if you're a millionaire, you have a less chance of having mental health problems is false. We know that there's a certain amount of money that if you're making, it has a huge difference on your mental health, on your life satisfaction, on your happiness. I can't give you that exact number because the study that I looked at, I'm not sure where the geographical location was. So for example, if I say, where I'm living, $90,000 is you're going to have a good life. Maybe where you're living, the average income is lower. So maybe it's not 90,000. Maybe it's 50,000. Maybe it's 35,000. So I'm not going to throw a number out there. But what I will tell you is this. For the place that I'm living, the place that I reside, the answer was about $80,000. They said once you reach about $80,000, the difference between someone making 80 grand, and you can believe this or not, it's up to you. And I'm not 100% sure about 80, but I know it was close to 80. Between 80,000 and someone making $500,000 a year, there was roughly no difference in their life satisfaction. Roughly no difference between a person making $500,000 a year and a person making $80,000 a year. So people listening going, Daniel, that doesn't make sense, because if you make more money, you can buy yourself more trips, you can go out more, you can enjoy the fruits of life more, and you can. But you got to understand, folks, sometimes what we need is internal, and it can't be filled up externally. But if you're talking about someone who's making 10 grand a year, like living where I'm living, versus someone who's making 80 grand a year, well, now we're talking about groceries, we're talking about being able to provide a roof over people's heads, food on the table, right? So obviously, money is extremely important in terms of your mental health, of keeping you off the streets, right? And giving you the basic necessities that you need in life to flourish. But once you get to a certain number, it has no impact on your life satisfaction, all other things being equal. So going back to my original statement, the people who volunteer demonstrate higher life satisfaction. Well, what is volunteering? You're giving up your time, which is arguably the most valuable commodity that you have to offer. You're putting in effort into something, into someone that isn't you, right? Oftentimes you don't volunteer for yourself, you volunteer for something else, and you don't get paid for it most of the time. So how could someone who's volunteering, who's giving up their time and basically working for free in this capitalistic society, have a higher life satisfaction than someone who doesn't volunteer? Again, all things being equal. When you hear a stat like that, folks, you got to take a step back, because it completely goes against everything that you think about. The more money I make, the happier I'll be. It's like, to a degree. What is it about volunteering? So you take a step back and go, well, what is volunteering? What is it about giving my time and effort for someone else or for something else that makes me more satisfied with life? Why is it that we are so, do you not find it so fascinating to wrap your head around this idea of we want to satisfy our own needs for happiness, for meaning, and for satisfaction? And there are multiple times in life where we feel the happiest when we're doing something nice for someone else. Is that not beautiful? You're looking, if you want to take care of your soul and your happiness, and you want to make sure you're in the best state possible, the key is do something great for someone else. See, it sounds like this mumbo jumbo religious, treat others how you want to be treated, or treat everyone as if they're a reincarnation of you. Man, I'm just talking about the studies. This is what they're saying. They're saying people who volunteer have higher life satisfaction. Now, mind you, there's a lot of other factors involved about parenting and how they were raised and what their financial situation is like. For example, if you're a single mom with 2 kids and you're working overtime on 2 different jobs, it's like, well, you might not have time to go volunteer. Like someone who does have one job who can pay for his, you know what I mean? So those things are important to take into account. But the very fact that an amazing way that we increase our own well-being is by doing good to others. How does that make you feel hearing that? I want you to think about a time where you went out of your way to do something nice for someone. Maybe you got them a coffee. Maybe it was buying something for someone's birthday. Maybe you just took time out of your day to go do something for someone else and you didn't benefit in any way personally. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get this person coffee so then they'll invite me out to dinner. Like, no, no, no. You did it because you wanted to do it. You did it because you wanted to be genuine, because it was the right thing to do. When you do that, how happy do you get when the other person receives your gift or your graciousness or whatever you're pushing their way, and they're appreciative of it? I want you to really think about a time where you got someone something and you saw their eyes lit up and they got really happy and they're like, oh, I had no idea you were going to get this, and how happy you get. And I want you to focus on that feeling. You didn't get anything. No one surprised you with anything necessarily in that moment. You did something for someone else externally. Yet internally, the feeling that you got is a feeling that you cannot buy. Is a feeling that is very hard, if damn near impossible, to create for yourself. Like, if you say, well, sometimes folks, you might say, well, I'm going to take myself out. I'm going to treat myself for a present. And it's great, and you can do that. You can go buy yourself the newest game, or you can go out and take yourself out to dinner. But there's something about doing nice things for other people that, for whatever reason in our brains, it just connects differently. I mean, you want to talk about being a parent, right? Think about a mom or think about a dad. When they do something for their kid, when they buy them an ice cream, when they put them on their shoulders, when they take them out to the park, and they see the child light up and they're happy, the child can't give anything to the parents. He can't pay them. He can't give them this extraordinary gift. But the very fact that the child is happy, seeing them smile, ask any parent, and if you're a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You do something nice for someone else and it fills you up like no other. And I think that is such a beautiful, like, what does that tell you about human nature and how we interact with others and how we carry ourselves? That when we are almost at our happiest, when we give to other people, and we give it from a genuine place and an authentic place. Folks, sometimes it's not the biggest present, or it's not the most largest grandeur thing that you could do, but a lot of it is just putting in a little bit of effort. Putting in a little bit of effort because you want to, not because you heard this episode and you're going, well, I want to feel good, so I'm going to go out and make other people feel good. It's like, no, but maybe that's in the back of your mind somewhere, but you do it because it's the right thing to do and because you're genuine and because you want to be authentic. And I cannot speak on the importance of how good that feels. And you already know how good that feels, right? You've had several instances in your life where this has happened and you've done things for other people and it just made you feel really, really good. And I think that totally goes against this idea of human beings are innately selfish and we're entitled, self-centered. We don't care about anyone but ourselves. Like, dude, that's not true. You might have different people who range from being a team player to not being a team player at all, but from a basis biological standard, from an evolutionary perspective, we have survived together, right? 10,000, 11,000 years ago or whenever, when the climate finally stabilized, where we didn't have to keep moving, where we didn't have to keep moving around, we started settling in places and we started building villages and towns, and we started realizing that, wow, our survival rate really increases when we all live together. I could go hunt by myself, but if me and you guys all go hunting together, well, we have a much better chance of, one, killing the prey, and two, getting multiple prey. And then again, that has another plethora of benefits in and of itself, but we understood that, folks, we need each other as human beings, and we need each other. And this is something that, in the 1950s, and this is a big thing that the feminist movement talks about, right? A woman needed a man because she couldn't live on her own, because she couldn't pay the bills, because a lot of times they wouldn't allow them to go to school. Or say, this might not be the 50s, but just in the 1900s, early 1900s, there's a lot of places, even to this day, that do not allow women to go to school. Well, you don't go to school, you don't get the credentials. You don't get the credentials, you can't get the job. And then we're wondering why this woman can't stand on her own 2 feet. It's not because she's not disciplined. It's not because she's not motivated. It's not because she doesn't have the intelligence to problem solve and the capabilities to working with other people. It's because you've taken away all of her tools, right? Give her all of her tools. Give her the right to an education. Give her a supportive environment. Tell her that she can do it, and watch what happens. So now it's a little bit of a sensitive topic for women, right? Because when people say, like, you need someone, I've had some of my female friends get very upset. They go, Daniel, I don't need anyone. right? And if they're talking about, I don't need anyone in order to start my own business or buy my own home or to be successful in life, career-wise, absolutely. I mean, like networking-wise, I would argue you still need people, and you need to be well with your employer, and your coworkers need to like you. But you don't have to have a husband or boyfriend or partner to be successful. But if we're looking at the basis of what makes us human, folks, we need people and relationships in our lives. The same way we need oxygen, the same way we need water. These are things that we need. We are not designed to go live on our own for 5, 6 months, a year, 2 years. That doesn't mean there aren't people like that who don't exist. But the majority of people you'll find, they do interact with others. They like having other people around them. Whether that be they like being at parties surrounded by many or just with one person. Sometimes all they need is their girlfriend or their boyfriend. That's it, man. Even if you're not a super extroverted person, that doesn't mean that you still don't get that social energy from playing Twitch, playing Xbox, talking to people online, talking to your girlfriend, FaceTiming your friends. So it's really important that we acknowledge how important it is to have someone in our lives and to have someone's in our lives. If you've got one person in your life who likes you and who cares about your well-being, you hold on to them. That is a blessing. If you've got several people who like you and who truly care for your well-being and health, you are privileged, my friends. You are privileged. And that's not meant to talk down to you, but that's for you to remember that not many people have a plethora of people around them. You might have a circle of people around you who care about your well-being. If something were to happen today, 3 or 4 would immediately call and email. They'd reach out, hey, what's going on? They'd meet you at the hospital. There's some people out there who don't even have one. It's one thing when you're doing well in life, but what happens when you get sick? What happens when you fall on hard times and then you don't have anyone in your corner? Well, why? Because you're so independent, because you're so prideful, because you're too high on the horse to ask for help or to ask for, I'm not an independent person by any means. Don't get me wrong, I can sit here and study by myself for hours, man, but after a week, and one of the things that saves me is just going to university and going to work. You see people, and that gives you that social interaction. But I couldn't live by myself for like a year without any human interaction. So it goes back to this idea of, listen, we need social interaction. We need people in our lives. And one of the best things that we can do is we can give to other people. All right, we make them appreciate our presence. We want them to understand that, hey, it's important when I'm here. And you're going to notice me when I'm here, because when I'm here, you're going to be happy. And I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to support you. Because I want to. Because it's the right thing to do. And indirectly, it ends up making me feel good. And guess what? The other person feels that. And they end up reciprocating that to you. I was in class the other day. And one thing that I do is, usually like the first day of classes, I know people are pretty nervous and stuff. So when we're sitting out in the hallway, there's like 15, 20 kids. We're all waiting outside for the prof to show up. I just look at everyone. We're all wearing masks. People got headphones on. Some people don't. And I go, how's everybody doing this morning? How are we feeling? And the majority of the time, people don't talk back, right? Because they're anxious, so they're in their own head. But every once in a while, 1 or 2 people talk back. And I can tell, I was like, man, you were waiting for someone to talk to you today. You were hoping that someone talked to you today. And just by sheer coincidence, it happened to be me, and you appreciated that. And that's awesome. And a friend of mine said, Daniel, oh, you're so confident and charismatic and this and that. You go around saying hi to people. And I said, dude, I appreciate the flattery, but it's not, like, I feel like when people think about social interactions and like volunteering, they always think the most, I gotta go volunteer at a hospital and I gotta donate to all these shit. You don't have to, not at all. What if doing good for other people just meant smiling at them? What if it just meant holding the door open? What if it just meant treating people how you wish to be treated? Almost everywhere I go, I always hear things like, oh man, he's so polite and he's so courteous, he's so nice. That's not to sound braggadocious, folks. I'm not special at all. I'm not special. I'm absolutely not. What am I doing to give people that idea? Oh, he's so respectful, he's so mature, he's so polite. I make eye contact, I smile, I ask you about your day, I say thank you, and I say please. I look at you in the eyes, I smile, I say thank you, I say please, and I ask you about your day. It's not complex, folks. It's very straightforward. You'd be amazed at what just looking at someone would do. Looking at someone, just a smile, just an acknowledgement. I see you. I see your presence. Too many times I see people and I don't know if it's due to anxiety or they're just not in the mood. They pretend like they don't see anyone. So they look down or they look up. But I can't tell you how impactful it is just to look at someone, smile, nod, hey, how's it going? And people might think, well, then what if they don't respond? I'm going to look stupid. It's like, what? You're not going to look stupid. First of all, you're going to look like a super kind person who just reached out to a total stranger, which is dope. 2, you're going to look courageous because you put yourself out there. And 3, if they don't respond, so be it. All right, maybe they've got something going on in their day that you don't know about, and that's okay. Please don't, if you do take this advice, don't take it personally if people don't respond, because the majority of them won't, because it is so far away from the life that they're used to living, like talking to strangers, smiling at strangers. But when you're filled with love and compassion and warmth and you're happy in life, you want other people to be happy. And when that happens, they feel good about themselves. So indirectly, you feel good about yourself. And then they start doing to you what you've been doing to them. Right? So now, speaking from a personal experience, if I'm a person who always shows up to class and I say, hey, what's going on? After a few times, this time if I don't say anything and I'm walking, maybe I don't see someone genuinely, they go, hey, they don't get to see you. And I go, whoa, would you look at that? The first day I walked into class, you looked away as if you didn't see me. Now, I genuinely didn't see you. You could have let me walk away, but you stopped me in my tracks to come and say hello and ask me about my day. Folks, positivity goes a long way. It's infectious. Happiness, kindness. I think kindness is so underrated. If you want to do an incredible thing for yourself and for the people around you, be kind. Give. Be genuine in whatever way you see fit. And just like in the example that I gave earlier, that might just be smile. Open the door for people. Even if they're not looking too amazing themselves, give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're going through something. Not maybe. The chances are really high that they're going through something. If someone frowns, it's not at you. They got no idea who you are, right? They just got into a fight with their husband the night before. They're a little cranky. Don't take it personally. Be kind. And I promise you, you'll not only benefit the people around you, but also yourself, making you happier, healthier, and giving you an overall higher life satisfaction. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your support. I wish you nothing but love, safety, and struggle. And that when you meet that struggle, it doesn't cripple you, but you stand up. And it toughens you. And you learn from it. And you become better today than you were yesterday, preparing you for what's to come tomorrow. Thank you, my friends. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.